There it goes.
Yep, there it goes. So welcome, welcome. We are here for our Freedom Prize Warriors after action interviews, where we love to talk to people about their leadership, their service, and especially to military communities and the network. And I'm so happy to have Susie Schwartz with me. Hi, Susie.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are
Okay,
you?
great. So I'm going to ask you a few questions, but I really want you to talk about your background
Okay.
because it's really an honor to have you here. You also are a member of the Few family, your cousin to one of our co-founders, Paul.
Right.
So thank you. It's amazing when everybody starts talking, you start talking about family.
Right.
I know you spent years strengthening really the backbone of the military, the spouses and the families are the
Right.
backbone,
Right.
right? And I know that aligns with your mission and our mission at Free
Mm.
Enterprise Warriors to build stronger communities and behind every leader and entrepreneur and almost the veteran entrepreneurs. So
Right.
tell me a little bit about, or tell us, what originally inspired you to dedicate your life to supporting military families?
Um, I did not think I would be that. I believed when I first married someone who was in the Air Force that I would have my own career. And I did for quite a while. And at a certain point, I decided it was really too hard to have a career. We were moving so often. And then the other thing is, when you're married to someone of a certain rank, at some point you do have the ability to influence policy a little bit. Your voice is a little bit louder. I have a loud voice regardless, but at some point you really have an opportunity to make a difference, and you can choose to do that or not. And I chose to really go all in and try to make a difference, especially as like the last 8 years of my husband's career in the Air Force. And then I also then chose to keep doing it. Many people, after a lifetime of following or service of their own, many people choose just I'm done. I don't want to do anymore, and that's fine. But I chose the exact opposite path and decided to keep going. You really do, you can still make a difference. You still have the same connections that you had when your husband was active duty or your spouse was active duty. And so I chose to keep going.
So, what are some of the biggest challenges of the military spouses when they're trying to build their own careers?
Sure. Um, More than anything, I think it is moving. And even though I know that other people and other, in other career fields, I know they move. But from day one, you have no family usually by you. And I think people forget that. They think, oh, it's no problem if my spouse goes away. It's no problem if, we have to go somewhere. He has to go on a business trip or she has to go on a business trip. But you, more than likely, you are never going to be living anywhere near any family at all. And so that's good and bad. I think that forces military spouses to create their own family wherever they are. But it does make having a career just a little bit harder, I think. Um, and also, you want to, careers are about connections. Careers, you don't just walk in and this fabulous career presents itself. It is a lifetime of connections and staying engaged. And sometimes that's not easy. And many bases, you guys, they're not near major metropolitan areas. Uh,
Of course, of course not.
there's not a lot of Air Force bases near cities. They are in rather remote areas. So, like myself, I worked for Hyatt Hotels for many years, but let me tell you, there's no Hyatt in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. There's no Hyatt in Fairbanks, Alaska. There's no Hyatt, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it
it's not easy.
I just wanted to mention to you that I had was working with a few people that were a few military spouses that were virtual assistants.
Yes.
And that's a little bit easier now for them and really smart people,
Yes.
and they with very educated,
Yes.
and so they're able to find a little bit more online
Yes.
than they had previously.
And I think that COVID in many ways advanced that idea.
Yeah.
I think there were many organizations out there, many companies already started that. I have several friends that do work for those online assistant type companies. One of my friends is an accountant and she works for one of those companies. But I think it made it just the norm following COVID. It really did. It was no longer an oddity that you were working at home.
Right.
It just made it normal. In fact, I hired one today to help me with my Christmas
Oh.
party. So,
Very good. You've said this before in things that I've read that you put there, especially on your LinkedIn, and that was that military families really represent an unseen strength. What does that mean to you?
I think they're pretty powerful out there, and many people don't know it. We just do not need a class of people like military families that are separate. We are the American people. We are
Right.
not separate. So I think they're strong. They move a lot. They get in the community quickly. They don't have time to wait. They don't have time to feel sorry for themselves. They need to get out there and they push. They're If you're successful, it's because you're not hesitant, you're not waiting. You are part of the community. And many of them get, if they're not working, they may get involved, with their school, with the school board. Um, and I found out 2 cycles ago that they can actually run for U.S. offices easier than they can run for state offices. I found that kind of incredible. And have been a couple military spouses that have run for office for their U.S. representative. I think that's kind of interesting that it's harder for them to be involved in state than it is in national politics. That's just kind of crazy to me. Um,
That is really that I never knew that. That's
I
really
didn't know that
interesting.
either. I didn't know that either.
What about the young military families? What about the young people that are coming in now and
Yeah,
maybe I know a few people that have like kind of moved up their wedding
right,
in order to make sure that they could go together.
right,
What would you say to some maybe a spouse or family member,
right,
understanding what it's like for the young
right.
service person going in?
Yeah, for the young ones especially, and I know this because over the past 10 years, I have read hundreds and hundreds of submissions to the Military Spouse of the Year program, and they all are surprised at how lonely they are.
Yeah.
All. And so my advice is don't wait. Don't think someone's going to knock on your door like it's 1950 and they are going to welcome you to the neighborhood, to on-base communities, to the squadron, to the unit. That's really, even though we have programs in place and all the services have programs in place trying to make the family feel a little bit welcome, but those always fall through the crack and nothing can be mandatory for the family. And so I say reach out and find a friend as fast as humanly possible. And you just never know where it's going to lead from there. When I used to move as Nort was more senior, this is so crazy. I don't have any kids, but I would go to the bus stop and hang out with the moms or the dads, just trying to make friends.
Yeah, absolutely. You
And
have
I
to
made a lot
find a
of friends that
connection.
way. Yeah,
What about now people transitioning out? Now that could happen as
right,
early as their first tour is done,
right,
or it could be an act two after retirement, right?
right.
What's next for that you see in your experience?
I say to all the people transitioning out that you don't know for sure what's next, that it will change, that your idea of what you want to do next, it may change, and keep your eyes and your ears open. Keep your heart open even for opportunities. You do not know. I mean, I'll give you an example, even of my husband's, and you think that as a senior military person that you maybe have a good plan and you don't. He thought that he would be on boards and things like that, but an opportunity came up to lead a nonprofit and he jumped at it. And it was the best thing he ever did. And he loved it. So,
Did he know before he though he re he left and in transition. Did he actually find it before, or did he? I'm just curious
No,
because some people
after,
say,
after,
okay,
after. No.
too busy
Too
up to
busy,
that point.
too
Okay.
busy, too busy. And the military offers lots of transition courses and all kinds of things, and they're better at that than they were. They're really good. And families can attend that program too, and be part of it. But my husband was not in a position to really. I mean, we went to the courses, but he had no idea what he was going to do next. And he worked hard, just like everybody does, trying to
Yeah.
network. And now we try to give it back. We try to pay it to other people as they're transitioning out and to make sure. I think the Army is really good at that. I think the Air Force is not as good at paying it forward to the next generation,
Hmm.
and continuing to mentor and give them opportunities or just tell them what's out there because you just don't know.
Well, actually, I know that you serve on some major boards. I think, are you still in the National Military Family Association?
I am. I do a little bit with them, not as much as I used to.
Okay.
The main board that I do is the Fisher House board, but I'm also kind of helping out a couple smaller nonprofits. One of them is the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs, and she just had a conference in Dallas, and I'm so proud of her. And she has been working this for probably 10 years and has finally kind of hit her stride. She
Hmm.
tried being a profit and then a nonprofit and back, what I mean? She's
Yeah.
just tried different avenues. Um, and more than anything, she is a connector and almost a cheerleader for military spouse entrepreneurs. I mean, to keep them motivated and to explain to them sometimes some of the hard. I mean, I've gone to some of her conferences and I tune out when they start talking finances and accounting and stuff like that. But that's what people need. They need the nuts and bolts of what it actually takes to run a business.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're trying to and we're looking forward to helping veterans and
Right,
their families here
right.
at Free Enterprise Warriors because it entrepreneurship is a battlefield. It
Yes.
really is.
Okay.
And there's so many correlations. There's so many things that, as Joe Glover, who was one of our co-founders as
Right,
a Marine, like he reminds us daily,
right,
wow, that's so similar to this
right,
or that. But tell me a little bit more about Fisher House, because I know that's near and dear
right,
to Joe Glover or,
right.
what I'm hearing about it and to you.
Well, I got involved with Fisher House when my husband was active duty. And so, again, it's all about connections and staying engaged because you just don't know what's going to happen down the road. And I went to volunteer in Hawaii at the house there. And then I was in St. Louis and I really helped raise money for a house that was being built in
So
St.
it's
Louis.
national. They're
It's a
all okay.
They're national. They have 101 houses. The Little Rock house that I went to the grand opening of a couple weeks ago was house number 101. And most of the houses now are located at VA hospitals.
Okay.
We really kind of run out of hospitals connected to active duty hospitals. And the communities put in a list and submit it to the VA, and then the VA and DoD submit their list to the Fisher House, and then we decide which ones will get a house next. But when my husband retired, they asked me to be on their board. And I know it sounds so petty and so silly, but I was excited that they asked me and not my
Of
husband,
of
um,
course.
because I was the one that had been involved with them for the last 10 years. So
Yeah.
um, I've been on their board ever since. And it is about houses, but it's also many other things. We fund National Military Family Association. We fund their scholarship, their military spouse scholarship program,
Mm.
and we're proud to continue doing that. We have funded the U.S. Wounded Warrior Games. We've done that for the past 10 years. We hosted the Invictus Games, which are the worldwide games
Oh,
for
yes.
wounded warriors. And then we also give out some money every year to about five nonprofits, and they go through an extensive vetting process, which I help judge. And then we give out funds because we want to give back and we want to be a part of the larger military and veteran community.
I don't think we explained actually what Fisher House is, just to understand how that
Fisher House
correlation for
is a
hospitals.
home. It's a home. It's like the Ronald McDonald houses, but Ronald McDonald doesn't really like us comparing them. But that's the best comparison that we
Yes, understood.
um, and it is a house located next to a military treatment facility, a hospital, either the VA or on a military installation, and it is completely free. And they can stay there as long as they like. Most houses are about 16 rooms with their own bed and bath, obviously. They share the communal space because we believe a family's love is the best medicine, and
Yes.
a house is a great place to share that love. And the connections that are happening in the kitchen, probably like most everybody's own personal home, it's a giant kitchen, and they just go, they're allowed to make meals there and they can share with other people and people get involved. The local community a lot of times gets involved by volunteering to come and make a meal. So like one year we went and did an Easter meal at a Fisher House. And so that's how many times how the local community has the best impact and gets to know maybe some of the people that are there.
That's really interesting. So on that note, we're going to put some in the show notes of this on
Right,
YouTube. We'll be putting some information if anybody else is interested in finding out more about Fisher House and
right,
some of the other nonprofits and profits that you work with.
right.
Um, so with our interviews here, I'd love to ask, each of our guests, if you could do something over, is there anything that you would give a lesson learned to someone else and say, and I know you already gave us one, which is get involved very quickly if you're getting into and being a spouse of a military active service person. But you personally, whether it's with your boards, whether it's with, um, you know, whatever it's with, is there any lesson learned that we can pass on so maybe someone else won't have to go through that?
Ooh, boy, that's a good one. I think that I wish I had actually joined an organization. I wish I had volunteered with the USO or the Chamber of Commerce, you know what I'm saying? Or,
Yeah.
um, been a part of a school board, even though I don't have kids. I wish I had early in my career as a military spouse jumped in and gotten involved with something like that that made a difference. And I was not brave like that. Young spouses today are much braver, and they'll start one if they don't find something right by them. They don't hesitate at all. There's a young spouse that founded something about food insecurity, and I think she was on CNN a couple weeks ago. She
Wow.
founded this organization maybe 4 years ago, and now she's a spokesperson. So I wish I had been braver and really dug in and jumped in and made a difference earlier.
Well, so looking ahead, what do you see for yourself?
I'm doing a little bit less than I was before. Um,
Well, you were
and
very busy, so we
I was
know.
very busy. I was very busy. And what I see for myself is continuing with the Fisher House, but leaning into some of these smaller, newly formed nonprofits and organizations that were founded by young spouses that I know and love, and I'm going to lean in more and try to help them. That's my goal.
You and I we had spoken previously, and you said something like, that uh s smaller piece of the pie
Mhm.
was more interesting to you because
Right.
maybe what you could make a bigger impact. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I think some of the smaller ones are just they're a little bit more creative. They're not set in their ways. Let me give you one example. There are three military spouses who founded or who reached out to the Giving Tuesday people and got permission from the Giving Tuesday people to do Giving Tuesday military. And it is not about giving money, it's about doing good deeds on that Giving Tuesday. Because most military families don't quite have the money yet to give back a lot to people.
Right.
And then from that, they formed a nonprofit called the Inspire Up Foundation. And it is just about doing good deeds.
It's fabulous.
And I love that because we focused for many, many years so much on wounded warriors and their families. And I don't want people to think that all military people are wounded warriors. Wounded warriors are important, but the military families out there serving each and every day are important as well. And
Yeah.
sometimes we forget.
Right. So yeah, there's a really underserved community, right, with that are just going through their day to day.
Yes,
That's what you're saying. Okay.
yes,
Yeah, that's really interesting. We'll put some information about that in here too. But you know what? I wanted to um officially interview you because I think I love your energy, your background, what you're doing, you're able to do going forward and how you served. You served, right? Along with
right.
your husband,
Yes,
it's like people don't maybe realize that, right?
they
That the
don't.
families serve also. And they
Yes,
serve this, the
yes, they
United
do.
States,
Yes,
and and I mentioned to you, I think that what I was so interested in working with veterans was because I am so thankful to be, in this American economic system, free enterprise
right.
that has served me so well,
Yes,
being a first generation American and a woman, being
yes,
able to create business, create opportunities for others.
right,
And I think that, I just want to say thank you and thank you to you for, everything that you've done because you've you've helped me because this is, freedom isn't free.
right. Freedom is
So
not free. Right,
isn't free.
right.
And I really
And we
do
need to make
respect
sure that
that.
we inspire others. It cannot be just a military class of people where military children then become, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We need to inspire others to, it's a great way to serve, however you serve, and it doesn't have to be in the military.
sure.
Um,
First
but
responders,
right,
it's really
right. It's
everything.
everybody. Right,
Yeah, and so maybe, what I hope for is that someone might see this and they might go, oh, that's interesting, and even contact one of us
right,
in order to, especially, spouses and children of military families
right,
who maybe we can help them start thinking about their own business, their own future.
right.
And that's what, I mean, it's
That would be great.
lofty.
Yes. That's a
It's lofty,
It's
but you
lofty,
never
but you
know.
never know. You don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one person,
yeah, yeah.
that's all
And
it
they don't
takes.
have, like I said, they don't have the connections because their spouse is in the military. So it's not like they're going to work at a bank or an office building somewhere where
Right.
they're having different connections. If they don't want to go into the military, they don't have any business connections. They just don't. So,
Yeah.
you know,
So the call to action that I would hope that somebody listening to this would maybe take the next action is find out more about, find out more about Free Enterprise Warriors,
right,
freeenterprisevets.com, and see how we can help to maybe inspire or help someone along the way to start or to continue their entrepreneurial journey, because that's part of the American free enterprise system.
right,
And that's how we can really keep this wonderful country going and be thankful and to
right.
all the military families. So I really thank you so much. Did you want to say something before we end?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to, have this great conversation. I do hope that it inspires someone to reach out and maybe help a veteran, even a military spouse, in any way they can. If they're, have a wonderful gift, which I bet they do, I know that the people on the other end would be open to receive it. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your perspective.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.